we've all climbed the 30-foot rope on Bottomfield and nearly died doing it. I think that's the best way to put it.
Why did they tell you to put... Hang on, did they tell you to put your finger through the hoop? It sounds horrible. You know the like hoop at the top of the rope? Can you remember that?
No, it was just touch the tape.
So this looks horrible. Hoops and me grabbing a notion.
This is great. Great content here, Ryan. Great content.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we've got our very good friend Luke Jillings AKA OriginalHuman, the one and only OriginalHuman as well. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
It seems a bit weird having to introduce ourselves after we've been speaking for about 5 minutes. But
I was thinking then, when I did my podcast a while back, remember Tactical Chinwag that I did it for like a 7 or 8 episode series. I think you were on a couple of times. I think you were like the guy that I always went to when I was like, I've got no one. Could you join?
I know. To be fair, I miss those chats, you know. I think
they were good. I had some good chats on there, yeah.
Yeah, it was good. You should start that again, man. I think those... I mean, you had Ollie Ollerton on for Christ's sake. That's top quality. First of all, how do you even get people like that on your podcast?
Just slide into the DMs, mate. That's all I did. Just slide right in there. Do you know, it's funny you said that. I had some great people on there. I had one of the owners of Black Rifle Coffee Company. Yeah, I had some great people on there. Jim Galvin, another Royal, great friend of mine. But do you know what my favourite podcast was?
Which one?
It was the one with me dad.
I was just about to say the one with your dad, talking about I'm guessing because he was from a generation, not just a military generation, but the dad generation in general, where it probably didn't open up that much when you were young, right?
Exactly. So it's hard to explain what happened to him, but obviously I'm sure some people may know the story, some people may not, but he was in the Falklands War, and he was
incredible, man.
HMS Glamorgan, he got blown up and stuff like that. He pretty much saved the ship. But the thing is, I knew kind of the outline of the story, right? I've heard the outline of the story every now and again. But to hear the full detailed story for the first time on that podcast, it was special, but it was also kind of sad that it took something like that for someone that in that generation. So like our generation now, we feel a bit more free to open up, don't we?
Yeah. I think we are free. We feel it, don't we? I mean, me and you have no problems opening up about anything, really, do we?
Exactly.
But that generation just didn't have. I don't know if it's a confidence thing that comes with the, social restrictions in a way, isn't it? You're not really seen as a man back in the day with that kind. But we all know that's just rubbish now, don't we? To be honest with you.
Yeah, we do. It's a strange thing, and I think with our generation, especially us being on YouTube, we've seen kind of a flip on that a little bit, haven't we?
Yeah.
Because I think there was one Royal on YouTube before me and you.
I know one. Yeah, and you kind of really the first one go through the roof with subs and stuff and like volume and viewership. I think you really brought it. There's loads. I think. I mean, it's kind of like a revolution, really, wasn't it, in terms of getting lads on board. But that just goes to show that mindset. In order for it to change, you just need to do something different for everyone else. Because imagine doing this when we were actually serving, the whole YouTube thing. You'd have been ripped to shreds in the Marines,
get hammered, right? Wouldn't you?
And it's so stupid when you think about the creative mindset you have to just to be a bootneck anywhere. Yeah. It's not just about physicality. You got to have something else there. And I found a lot of the guys had, hidden talents. A lot of them could play instruments and guitars and stuff, and just some fantastic artists in there. And I think that creative prowess just couldn't be flourished. It couldn't flourish in the military at least when I was in. Yeah. I wish they kind of got around that a little bit.
I do as well. It's a group of exceptional individuals.
It is. Yeah, I agree. But hey, mate, everyone knows where you are anyway. But for the benefit of the doubt, where can people find you on social media and stuff, like where you're most active? And I'll put all those links in the description. Obviously,
OriginalHuman on YouTube is where I've been doing a lot of live stream recently with a new card, which is really cool. Playing a bit of Warzone, trying to branch out a little bit, playing a bit of horror there, God of War, some other cool stuff.
Yeah, same.
I'm most active on Instagram. Even though I don't post many pictures, I'm more talkative on Instagram, which is OriginalHuman_, because some some turd took the original human name and I couldn't get it, you know what I mean? And it's the same on Twitter as well. And although I'm not as active on Twitter as I am on Instagram, they're kind of the places it's easier to reach out to me if someone wanted to slide into my DMs.
Hashtag me and me only. Right, guys, links will be in the description. I mean, how many subscribers are you on now? You got to be closing in on like 500,000 or something, right?
I don't even know.
I'm pretty sure.
I literally don't. I don't even look at the analytics anymore. I just. It's bad for your mental health.
It is. I was speaking about that to Arthur Rehy, the Estonian soldier, the other day. We went deep. Yeah, we went deep on mental health. Literally, completely regards to YouTube as well. We felt like simps at the time saying it. It was such a passion. I was talking to her. I was like, there's so many people like got the same thing, but they're almost scared to talk about it because you're not going to get to the platform for saying that your mental health is affecting you via content creation. But like, you do chase the numbers, don't you, to a point?
Yeah. It's such a strange thing, YouTube, because a lot of people put it on this pedestal, right? Especially younger people. It's like people really, like young lads, young kids, really want to be a YouTuber, and they see this really cool lifestyle of traveling and gaming and going to conferences and meeting people and you see like Logan Paul and all that with Ferraris and shit. And it's just, that's not really the reality. The reality is you make the content, you upload, the content's hard, and you got to be working hard. You upload the content, and sometimes I don't know if a lot of people won't know this, but when you upload a video, it has a little thing underneath it. It'll tell you how well it's done compared to the past 10 videos.
You've said the same thing. If it's below
like 5 or 6, you're having a bad day. You're having a bad day.
But I thought I wasn't that type of person, but I obsess, and it's a terrible, terrible habit. And part of me coming off social media, which I've realised I can't because the world functions off it now. I've had to go back on just even to speak to you, for instance. You know,
right.
And it just, you've got to be a part of the beast, and I'm still trying to find that happy medium, to be honest with you. Because if I wake up, the first thing I do is I check YouTube statistics and stuff, and I wish
that's not good,
I wasn't. No, it's not, and I think
not good.
Like, I don't know, man. I don't know what the answer is, but
I've just learned to kind of just, if I can upload stuff that I'm enjoying doing, then I don't care at the end of the day. I don't see myself as a YouTuber for the rest of my life. Like, I see me doing this maybe for the next handful of years, if at most, and then moving on. And a lot of people might be like, well, oh my God, you're in such a good position. But at the end of the day, it's just another job. It's just another business. Do you know what I mean? It's another job.
You've got to pay your taxes and stuff and, sort it all out, haven't you?
Yeah, and happiness isn't associated with social fame. Right?
I've found that out.
Yeah. And sometimes it can be detrimental.
100%. And numbers on the screen as well. I was actually, when you think about it, and I've realized this for a lot of channels as well, I thought that numbers on the screen like really meant something. So I thought that 10,000 subscribers meant that 10,000 people care for you. And actually, it's not really the case. It's like you might have 250,000 subs, but you haven't got 250,000 fans, if that makes sense.
That is 100%.
It's hard to describe. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. And when it goes to being obsessive with numbers, the big thing that taught me to move away from that, and it was obviously a massive life change, was this whole bus situation we're in. Living in the bus and traveling. It's almost as if, how can I explain this? But work is usually like a priority in your life, right?
Yeah.
You got to work. You got to get that money. You got to put the food on the table. But it's almost in the background. It's almost a second thing now, and it's
because of the lifestyle you're living.
Because of the life, and it's not that I've done that intentionally. It's more like it's been forced on me. That I've had to put YouTube in the background, and that this lifestyle is now priority. I've got to tinker on the bus, got to fix things, take care of the family. We're in a 40-foot bus. Like, if the kids aren't happy when I'm streaming or live recording, it's going to be they're going to be screaming. You know what I mean? So it's almost as if I've had to put this on the back burner a bit. And with doing that, it's made me not be as obsessive about numbers, and it's really been beneficial in a way. Really been beneficial. Yeah.
Well, just off watching a couple of your streams and stuff over the past, I would say the past month and a half, just dotting in and out. And I don't know if it's an observation, but you seem to be in a better place than you were 6 months ago. Maybe it's a bit more. I don't know. I think that's just my observation. I might be wrong.
Well, I battle pretty difficultly with depression and anxiety, and it'll come back in. It's like a wave, right? It'll be bad, and then it'll stop, and then it'll be really bad, and then it'll stop. Yesterday, really bad depression. Today, a little bit easier, and it swings like that. But what I've noticed is the more I take myself out of YouTube, as in YouTube is its own entity, and it's not the end of the world if it doesn't work. There's plenty of other things I can do. And when you really, it's easy saying that to yourself, but when you actually feel it, it's different. Like, you actually feel less worried about it,
Like, you're living that reality now because of your circumstances on the bus and stuff. I think you seem to be more actively engaged in living life now.
Yeah, I'm trying.
I mean, it's like you kind of got to on the road, haven't you, a little bit? It's like you're not stuck in a box anywhere, like static. Yeah. You're literally, this is a moving entity, and in order to go to places and do things, you're bringing up kids on the bus and stuff as well. You've got a wife and things. That must be, it's challenging, like you say. You just can't record some days if that's happening. You got to look after number one, right?
You got to be flexible. If the kids are having a meltdown and Steph's having a bad day, or if I'm having a bad day and something's broke on the bus, and you just got to be like, all right, I'm not recording today. Whereas back when I was living in a house and I was uploading every day, if I didn't record for one day, that was the worst of the worst. Like, at the moment, I'm just like, it's funny. I think it helped and it didn't. At the beginning of this year, I was really going through a rough time with YouTube, right as we set off, which was the perfect time for me to have a rough time with YouTube, because I was thrust into that world of becoming a nomad, right?
Yes.
But what happened was I think I got like shadow banned, or something weird happened on my channel, and my views almost halved overnight, literally overnight.
It's crazy how that happens, right?
It is, and it is. It was when I was covering if you remember, I was covering like a bit of Ukraine situation stuff, and which I don't care anymore. Like, I'll go back on and talk about it again. I don't really care, but it almost halved, and I was like, oh my God, what? I had this dreaded feeling of, is this the end? What am I going to do? And I spent a long time trying to figure out, who am I on YouTube? Like, what am I doing? Like, am I going to be doing the same thing over and over again? Do I need to evolve? Where do I need to go? And, we've got the bus, and it really just gave me a good old slap in the face to be like, you know what? Try some different things. Enjoy yourself while you do it. If it doesn't work, not the end of the world.
Who cares?
It's not the end of the world.
You seem to be going through like a process that I think many YouTubers seem to go on. And I think I'm kind of going through that now. It's almost like an identity thing, but because it does take something from you in terms of your identity, because you become like a camera version of yourself, right, for a period of time. It's fine, it's fine when it's going well and the numbers are going well and stuff. But if the numbers drop, you realize that has a direct impact on you, because you think, right, I'm actually, not getting the results for being someone slightly different now. Which is, do you understand? So you think, right, so it's not balanced then, I'm putting my bit in, but the other bit isn't coming on the other end. So you think, well, actually feel as if that's what I would class as selling your soul for something, right?
It is.
Do you know what I'm saying? And that's why I've started doing this, because for me, it's just talking with mates and learning things from people and having a good, open, honest discourse about whatever. And I don't have to be different for that,
Exactly. It's like you really do have two different versions of yourself. You have the real you, and then you have the you that's on the screen. Now, it doesn't mean that the you on the screen is a completely different person. It's just it's a small slither of who you are as a person, right? Yeah. I got big doing military content. It's now 2022. I left the Marines 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I left the Marines.
like a third of your life.
Yeah. Like, I am a completely different person than what I was back then. So when I'm doing military content every single day, and people don't actually know that my passion is reading, like, the bus is loaded with books, mythology books, fantasy books, friggin' self-help books, you know, like, I read all the time, but nobody knew that. Nobody knew that I would be recording. And in the back of my mind, I'd be thinking, I can't wait to pick up that book instead of playing this right now. Do you know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you mean. It's
I've had to kind of bring that forward and like, explain it to people and tell people, like, look, like, you know, I like to, this is me. This is the real me, you know? And the more I bring that out to people and the more I'm honest about it, the more I think people realize. And I think it actually does benefit the channel, you know?
I think certainly in the long term it will do, you know, because there's no real drawback from being yourself, right? You can never really lose in that department. But
if there's anyone who can tell you're not being yourself, it's the internet.
100%, yeah. Just check those hold for review comment section. Yeah. Right, so just for the benefit of the doubt, because we haven't spoke for a long time, actually.
It's been a while,
really pleased to be speaking to you, you know.
Yeah.
But how can you give a summary of how we actually know each other? If you can even remember, I'll help out if need be. Yeah,
I just remember I obviously was doing the YouTube channel, and it was just starting to take off mine. And I remember you just sliding into the chat or something.
I was the original DM slider.
Yeah, you're the OG slider. And you just like, look, I'm a royal and I'm interested in doing YouTube, I think. And we just started chatting, and I think it got to the point where it wasn't just about making content. We got on the call quite a lot, didn't we?
Yeah.
We spoke to each other quite a lot. We set up that little group of a few of
Discord
us who were YouTubers.
Stuff,
And we just chatted shit, basically, and we just spoke about, you know, what works, what doesn't, you know, and then we spoke about personal life as well. And we kind of just, I mean, we're Royal Marines, right? You automatically have that bond. Someone says I'm a royal. Like, you're automatically like best friends, right? It's not like you have to get to know this person. Like, you already know them.
It's true. It's so true, because it's hard to explain that to people who don't know. It's like, how can you become friends with someone who you don't know? It's like, there's something that we've done, that shared adversity. Like, you don't have to go through training at the same time to know that person went through commando training the same way.
Yeah.
You know, it's like. And it's hard no matter. I generally believe this. It's hard no matter what generation you join with as well. You know, you always hear the generations before say, it's not like it is in my day. Bullshit. It's all the same,
it's
mate.
All hard.
It's all hard. Like, even if we talk about the changes that's happened with commando training now, they still got to do it. In their generational struggles, that might make it easier in comparison to us. Guess what, mate? If we went into commando training now, we'd struggle like hell. I probably wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, like, I mean, if I was this age now, I struggle to get out of bed, and I'm like, my back's hurt.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
I get exactly what you're saying, mate. Exactly.
I never really like to shit on the generation doing something now, because I know it's hard for them still. Like, it's, I don't know. It's just,
you earn a green beret, you've got a green beret.
So true, mate. And
we've all done that 30-miler. We all crossed that humpback bridge.
Oh, actually,
no, we didn't all do it. We didn't all do it, did we?
I'm pretty good about that. You were the humpback bridge era, weren't you?
Did they stop doing that? I heard rumors that they did.
Mate, because I was like in training in like 2005, right?
Okay.
Where the humpback bridge was like, it's known, right?
Yeah.
And then you did the humpback bridge, and then when I rejoined and had to do training again, when I didn't know this until we got to the end of the 30 mile. I was like, where's this humpback bridge? And it was basically a non-humpback bridge. It was just a shitty flat thing.
It's just a flat bridge.
I was like, what? Why are there? There's loads of people passing out now, and they've crushed this bridge, or this is a different area. But
this just slowly made it flatter over time. Well, let me rephrase it then. Let me rephrase it. Sorry. We've all climbed the 30-foot rope on Bottomfield and nearly died doing it. I think that's the best way to put it.
Why did they tell you to put? Hang on, did they tell you to put your finger through the hoop? It sounds horrible. You know the like hoop at the top of the rope? You remember that?
No, it was just touch the tape.
So this looks horrible. Hoops and me grabbing the notion.
This is great. Great content here, Ryan. Great content.
I need to add a marker for this. This is getting put a clip. So you're on this rope, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You get to the top, and can you remember having to hang there for ages?
You have to hang until everybody's got to the top.
So I don't know if you're allowed to do this, but I used to disguise my finger by putting my middle finger in this in this hoop, and that little bit of weight that my finger it was
finger grip, your trigger finger.
That finger in that hoop felt so glorious.
No, I never did that. That was a great. I wish I knew that. I just put my hand on the tape.
I swear to God, it was the only thing stopping me from falling to my death sometimes.
Really?
You know, because I was
the kid that was just barely holding on to that tape. They're like, one more move, and I'm like, ah!
Mate, how hideous was it? You know, when you got doing 20 rope climbs or whatever, and you know what? You knew it was coming. As soon as you got down at the bottom after your arms is shaking, right? Yeah. Get outside and you're going around for a camp circuit, and you think, no, really? You're going to, because tell me, there's sometimes where you think, right, I know we have to be fit, but is this actually allowed? Is this part of the program? This didn't feel like it should be legal.
It is,
and
though.
It is, isn't it? But it feels like I'm like, shit, I'm going to die doing. I'm going to have a heart attack.
Yeah, sometimes when you're on your 6th camp circuit, you've just done 9 rope climbs. Your arms are flopping behind you as you run. You're in the bottom third. For me, I was always in the bottom third of the people.
Always make it.
Which means it's pays to be a winner. If you're not in the top third, you're going again. You do 8 circuits, and you're like, surely this is the last one. Surely. And then you get there, and they're like, you stand over here, and then don't point to you.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you keep going. I'm going to die.
Surely the fittest person can go again. He's ready to go. It's so hard, man.
Bottom field was my nemesis. Bottom field pass out was my... So I got injured on week 23. That was when I got injured, and I ended up getting fit and getting back in again. But it was the thing that I was dreading the most, right? And it wasn't the fireman's carry, it wasn't the regain, it wasn't the assault course, it was the rope climb. I always struggled with, and the time that I beat bottom field pass out, I climbed the rope and I did it first time. And I remember getting down and the PTI coming to me, and the PTI was Martin Stapleton, old friend of mine, and he came to me and he was like, Jillings, you've completed it now. You can do the rest of it. And I remember just thinking in my head, if I fail this now, I have to do that rope climb again.
It's hideous.
And I luckily I'd managed it.
You've just got to dig out blind, haven't you?
You got to dig out blind. And I think the same again went for the Tarzan assault course. I passed it by 2 seconds.
Man, I think I was right in there. Yeah, I mean, how tall are you? 5'10", 11?
5'10", I think, on a good day.
So about the same height as me then. I'm on my tippy toes, 5'9.5". So that people don't realise that's quite small for the Marines still.
Yeah,
I would say. You know, there's a lot of big dudes there, and they can go. And the thing is with the bottom field, it's just imagine doing a 100-meter sprint, and then being told you have to do another 100-meter sprint in the same time. And then do another 100-meter sprint, but there's no give. It's no, you've got to consistently keep that pace up, and it is a sprint with kit on. And it's you think, how can you do this? There's people can't do it physically, literally can't do and keep that pace up.
I've never been so close to throwing up. When I got to the top of that 30-foot wall, it was Martin Stapleton, PTI, on the top of the hill again, and he was like, Jillings, you failed, and I'm like.
It's horrible, isn't
joking. It? And then he turned around and was like, I'm only joking, you passed by 2 seconds. I was like, you little shit. I didn't say that to him. He would have thrown me off the frigging wall, but...
Well, this is the thing. When you come to doing the Tarzan assault course, that is even harder. I found, people say, what was the hardest commando test? It by far, for me, was that 11, 12, 13 minutes worth of
100%.
Tarzan assault course.
100%.
Have you ever pushed yourself as hard in any single event ever since?
I don't think so. I can't recall ever. I remember climbing that 30-foot wall and thinking, I literally might just die. Like, I actually might die. And I remember getting to the top, and you cannot get enough oxygen inside you. You feel like it's as if you can't even stand still because you're struggling so bad.
Yeah.
Mate,
and the adrenaline
yeah.
It's like the adrenaline of the wall as well, because obviously you're going to fall, you're going to really hurt yourself as well, aren't you? So you're like thinking, hang on, I'm mixed with pure fatigue, the fact that you can't breathe, and fear of falling, because there's lads fall, right, and break legs and stuff. Yeah. In fact, when did you do training? There was a lad who was in training who fell off. I think it was in around your time, who's still, like, God bless his soul, really disabled now still, or falling off the Tarzan.
Well, there was a lad that fell off the 30-foot rope and broke his back.
Might have been the same guy.
And he was in my troop. However, I think he got fit and passed out.
Ah, well, that's
so. It might have been a different guy then. But there's so many. At least once a year, there's someone who's like horrifically injured in training. You get people die on the 30-miler. Like, this is not
It's not a game, really.
It's not a game. It's easy to say that it's not a kid's game. A lot of the lads in there are kids at the end of it. I was 16. I was a kid.
Yeah.
But it's not a kid's game. Like, it's deadly serious. Deadly serious.
It's definitely a man's world. And again, non-discriminatory to your age either. If you're 16, okay, no problem. You can come in at that age. But guess what, buddy? You gotta. If you don't man up, you ain't getting through. Like, so you might be a kid, but you're definitely in a man's world. There's a guy died not so long ago. A recruit again. Rest in peace. He died doing something that me and you probably took for granted is, this is relatively safe at the end of training. You know, when you do the orca boat to an island, I think it's on Final X, we did like an amphibious assault on a beach.
Yep.
He basically, went in over as we normally do, and he never came back up. He went fully submerged, Bergen on, died, drowned. That's a recruit trying to be a Marine dying on an exercise. Crazy thoughts, man.
I can't even imagine the what it would do to the psyche to the rest of the troops so close to the end of training. Because when you're at the end of training, you are close. You are very close as a group of individuals.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine what that was like for them young lads. Unfortunately,
mental health all over it, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a shame because I feel like, and it might be different these days, but when we were in, mental health definitely wasn't anywhere near as big as it should have been. I had severe depression, man, and no one really give a shit.
They don't care, mate.
Nah.
I'm quite open about this. I'm outside now, and I have to be honest. When I left the Marines, I now know I was not in a good mental state at all. Leaving the Marines was down to the mental state I was in. If only I would have seen someone, or if someone recognized how I was feeling, they would have went, "You're not leaving because of any other reason." Like, I didn't really have a job to go to, or I didn't really have a good reason.
Yeah,
like, and it was just I was just left to dwindle and rot. And I had a good specialization. They spent hundreds of thousands on me getting qualified, and you're like, why let that go? But they did, and it's. I don't know, it's the old school mentality, I guess,
Yeah,
we need to get over this whole PTSD thing. Like, you don't need to go to war to be a sufferer of it.
No, it's true. It's totally true. I mean, I've told you before on some previous streams that I was bullied in the Marines quite severely to the point where I had some really bad trust issues, some really bad. I didn't know who was my friend. And the thing is, what's weird when you're at that age, I was 16, is I didn't feel welcome in some parts of the Royal Marines, but when I went home, everyone was at uni, and I didn't feel welcome there either. So I felt like I didn't have a place. Now, close to the end of my career, my boss sent me away to a Navy base to get assessed with my mental health, which I was surprised that he even did that. I got there, it was some Navy person, some Navy lad, who asked me like 3 questions and sent me away, didn't test anything, nothing more than that, sent me back. They got the report, no depression. And when
That's horrendous.
When I look back, my depression was worse. Like, I was on the brink of doing something drastic.
Isn't that such
really
a shame?
Bad.
In the only reason that'll have probably took place in that way is because they're looking at trying to save, £400-500 pension per month.
That's true.
And that's so sad, right? Because I know plenty of lads who've getting out the military. I'm not going to mention any names. Who've getting out on like hearing loss. They haven't got hearing loss. They're getting out in their full pension for life. And I think fair play to you, get what you can, you know. But there's guys getting like booted out who got issues and not getting a damn thing, you know. This is the thing. This is actually one of my questions. And it's not actually what would you do differently. What would you change about the Royal Marines now? If you could, what would you change? Just one thing.
Just one thing.
Because we talk about it. Look, I'm here to blow smoke up the Marines' arse. Like, I'm proud as hell about that.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
But I'm never gonna not want to talk about the shit things, because there's some real shit things about the Marines.
I agree.
You know.
Everything can be critiqued, right? Yeah, one thing, I think it would be that there would be dedicated Marines, right? You get Marines who train as PTIs. You get Marines who train as, you know, recce group. You get Marines that are trained as medics in some instances, right?
Yeah. My mate was one.
Exactly. There should be Marines who are trained in mental health.
That's
to be able to spot it in their own troop. To be able to counsel people. I don't know if they'd be able to do it with someone in their own troop, because if there was drama in the troop, there's a conflict of interest there. I think it would have to be a separate entity. But it would. I think it should be a Marine, so they know the position you're in. And I think it should be a thing where it's mandatory, just like PT is. It's mandatory, even if it's just once a month for an hour, sit down and chat. To sit down and chat to this guy. That's what it should be.
And I'm guessing that probably's, I don't want to say it would have been enough, but that probably would have helped out massively with your situation, right?
I think, I mean, depression's something that isn't fixed overnight, right? And if people who are well aware of what happened to me in the military with the bullying and stuff, I think there are multiple things that would have had to happen for it to really help. But having just someone to talk to would have been massive. Because again, I had no one to talk to in the Marines because of that situation. Everyone was on the side of the bully all the time because he was a high-ranking person, right? You don't want to be bullied, right? But also when you go home, I can't talk to my civvy friends about...
Because you're a bootneck.
Because I'm a bootneck, and it's hard to relate. So it's almost as if, like, you got that feeling of no one understands.
I understand.
No one understands. You know,
it's a shame that that's allowed to happen. I think one thing that I would say about the military that maybe young impressionable males especially would think is when you pass the Royal Marines, you're a product of being a tough sponge, so to speak. You can take in loads of information, you can take loads of abuse, you can take all of that, right? You're a product of just being really durable, right? Yeah. But please don't mistake that as that person is a physically hard person. Like, for instance, like being tough and durable doesn't make you in any way, shape, or form a good fighter or a tough guy or anything like that. And there's loads, and there's nothing wrong with this. There's loads of guys who could. I don't even like to talk like this, but let's just talk how the audience might want to understand it. You might be trained to be able to effectively fight in a section of men in a company and kill someone appropriately and effectively as part of that team with a weapon system. But that same guy might not be able to fight for shit. And there's probably, I would say, out of everyone, I'm not saying I'm the world's hardest man or anything, but I boxed before I did the Marines. I unfortunately had street fights and stuff. I was down that lifestyle. So I recognized straight away that, 85% of the guys that I'm working with can't fight for shit, really.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And I think there's a spectrum to it. I think there's a spectrum to it. So I'm a dreadful boxer. I mean, I wouldn't say dreadful. I could box, but I couldn't be a professional boxer. I couldn't even be an amateur boxer, right? On the ground, I'm really good. On the ground, I'm fantastic, right? But at the same time, it goes beyond that, right? You've got people who are incredibly tough mentally, where they can go through shit. They can go through training with a smile on the face. But they also battle with depression. You've got people who are tough as nails. They've done 9 tours of Afghan. They're tough as nails, but they're really bad in social situations. Like it's not like not every Marine is good at everything. That's, I think, the best thing to put it, right?
And that green cloth on your head sometimes is sold that it will make you good at everything. When in actual fact, you've just been good at
a soldier.
Being a soldier. And we need to not, I think the most important thing is let's not butter it up to be anything else anymore, because it actually leaves guys short. Because you do walk around, you've seen it, guys walking back. The amount of guys I've served with and on camp who's 18, who it's like, mate, you would get your ass handed to you off a couple of civvies who I know. Never mind, like, and you're walking around like you're a god. You're a fantastic soldier. Let's not take anything away, but that can't be translated as now you're good at maths, for instance, or you're good at this, or you're good at that, because it's not the truth. You're not good at everything. And I could easily
say I was that kid, because at the end of the day, I was 16, 17, 18. Like,
just a boy.
If I was a kid. Like, if I had a fight with another 16, 17, 18-year-old, I probably would have had the mindset to try and push through it, because I'm good at determination. But you put me up against someone who's done 9 tours, who's 40-year-old, who's been boxing for the Corps, who's maybe used like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. I'm going to get my ass handed to me. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and on the opposite of what we just said, those guys also exist on camp, right?
True.
The big, horrible, hard, nasty men who... Do you understand? And that's like... I think, I don't know how you change it. I get it, it's a culture, but when I look back, it's full of young lads, and I think we just need to be, I don't know, man. Bullying, it's wrong. It happens to all the wrong people as well. All of the lads that I've seen get a bit of stick, and I think he's a top kid, man. That guy can soldier. That guy is a sponge of information. You can't do it. Unfortunately, he's a product of his own toughness. That's probably why he's getting a bit more shit, because that guy is able to take a lot. You know, and you, for a young lad, I didn't make it as a young lad through commando training. So you're tougher than me for that. Like, you're tougher than me. Nobody knows how little of a percentage. Like, no one passes out at 16, 17.
It's hard. You get 1 or 2 every 5 or 6 troops.
I don't know how you do. Like, credit to you. I mean, this could be translated. You're probably a product, unfortunately, of being tough as hell. You know?
Yeah, and I think that's
you
the
were
thing.
just
like,
young.
I feel like the thing I'm really good at, right? That one thing I'm really good at is getting a lot of shit thrown at me and just slowly plowing through it, right? I'm okay. Like, there was times when they would wake us up on exercise. We were, it was 3 a.m, everyone's wet, we're crawling through mud, and I'm just laughing. And the corporals would call me out and be like, Jillings is laughing. We've got to do some more then, or something like that. I'd be like, oh, fuck, but then I'd laugh some more because it was funny. I was that guy, right? But at the same time, when you're in training and you're grappling with each other, I'd maybe be able to hold myself against 3 or 4 other lads my size. But as soon as you get the majority of the Marines who, you're looking at 6 foot over, massive, some of them are really aggressive. They might not be good out in the town at social interactions, but when they're on the ground or when they're boxing, they're absolute beasts.
Animals.
They'd hammer you. There's nothing I can do about it. I was issued protein shakes in training. That's how small I was. Do you know what I mean?
Protein shake issue. I know a guy who actually, I don't know if I can say this. He was no, I can't go there. He was issued protein shakes as well. I think he's the smallest Marine to ever pass the course, actually.
Wow. Good on him. You got to take some shit. And the speed matches, keeping up with everyone else's legs and everything like that.
He couldn't get over the 6-foot wall, mate. I don't want to say he was a dwarf, but I think I don't know how, I think he must have been standing up. He cheated or something on his entry requirements because he was tiny, mate.
Really? Yeah.
I think he had to get one of them gymnastic boxes to get over the 6-foot wall.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny though, because like you said, you'll see some of these Marines who are just, tough as nails, unbelievably tough as nails. They are like the epitome of what you think a Royal Marine or Special Force or something are. But then you get them on the phone and they're like, what am I doing here? What's going on here? Or you get them on the computer, they're like, what am I doing? Or,
Can't do it.
You have to go on the computer to put in like where you want to go and stuff. They'd be like, I have no idea what I'm doing. They're like, cause they'll get angry. They'll be like, what's going on?
Keyboard's getting broke.
Yeah. So you've got a whole spectrum of people in the Royal Marines. And
I agree.
I think what people need to realize is, you know, there is a wide range of people. You've got the smaller, younger lads who are, you know, they can get a lot of shit thrown at them, but they might not be, you know, good at boxing, right? I'd never be a professional boxer. But then they specialize on something else. And then on the other end, you've got people who are incredibly smart, man. Holy shit. There's some lads in the Marines who they could be like doctors.
Next
you know what I mean?
Level. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Some of the guys you work with, you think, why are you here? But then you realize it's literally just almost kind of a tick in the box for them physically and mentally.
Yeah.
But some of the guys as well, what I was shocked at was just how easy they found some of the things. Like, they didn't come around often, but I worked with one or two guys who's like just found everything a breeze. Like, one of the guys who's King's Badgeman in my troop, mate, he absolutely annihilated commando training, and he looked like an absolute nobody. He was all over everything. I'm like, really? I wasn't all over everything. Like, and soldiering was really hard for me. I had to work my ass off to be average at it, you know?
Yeah. It's just the way it is. I remember a lad who joined our training, right, who was the epitome of an action man, right? He looked like action man. He was in the army first, and he did his all arms course. So he already had his green beret. He was in training. He was dominating training. He wasn't he never really hung out with anyone. He kept himself to himself. He never went on the piss with anyone. He was always in his bed, just doing his own thing. And in commando training, I remember the officer coming up and being like, "You've got to go for officer. You've got to go for officer."
Because what you're doing
This was one
here?
of the guys who it was like one of my first troops before I got injured.
Yeah.
And I remember he passed out. I was injured. They cracked on and did commando tests and passed out. And I remember getting into a troop and seeing him on his officer course. So if he passed that, he would have done his commando course 3 times.
That is insane.
And this guy was nails. I don't know whether he passed his officer. I don't know whether he did it or not, but it wouldn't surprise me if he did. This guy, again, he was just not so good, hanging with the lads. He wasn't good socializing. He wasn't so good on the computer. But being a soldier, man.
Unbelievable.
The epitome of a soldier.
There's some talented guys out there, and that's what I think. You know, when you look at like the mountain leaders and stuff, people don't realize this watching in. I'll always respect them. So much, because I understand that I probably couldn't have done that course.
No,
like people think, oh, what you mean? You're Royal Marines? Like, yeah, there's levels to us still. Like, it's bloody hard anyway. But there's some levels in the military. I would even go as far as saying, from my own experiences and from my friends' experiences who serving in, Hereford and Poole. Yeah, I would probably put mountain leaders just a little bit further than them guys in a soldiering capacity.
I've got a good theory about this, right? The way I see mountain leaders and special forces, which in my opinion, they're one and the same. The guys are unbelievable. The mountain leader course and the Royal Marines, Jesus. I think special forces, it's not so much that they're exceptional soldiers, because they definitely are. It's that they're more misfits.
I agree. They've got something. A lot of them have. I don't want to say a loner. They probably accept. Yeah, a lot of them are loners.
Yeah, a lot of them are loners, and they definitely just don't really fit in with the traditional soldiering of a commando, and that's why they move on. Some people get offered special force training because they're about to leave and they don't fit in. Mm-hmm. And that's a very common thing. Don't get me wrong, they're unbelievable. And I would say mountain leaders, they're very special. I would say mountain leaders tick both boxes. They fit in as commandos, and they're also exceptional soldiers. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's like
it doesn't mean that one's better than the other, but I think they are both unbelievable. I think the mountain leaders just fit in with the traditional military more.
Brute soldier, a hoofing
soldier.
Yeah. I would say like this SF guys that I know have almost got like almost an Elon Muskishness about them. Like, it's not in a physicality way, just in their isms. Very a lot of them are introvert and stuff. Yeah,
they
like
are
that,
definitely. They're not very social people, and although they are social, I'm not. I'm painting a broad spectrum here. That obviously, I was in the special forces. I'm sure there's people in the special forces who weren't good at fighting, great soldiers, good in social interactions, beasts who are fighting, really awkward people can't hold themselves, look awkward in their own skin. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a wide range of people anywhere, and I think that mountain leaders fit into this weird category of like that guy who was in training who did it 3 times. It's just a perfect soldier. And I think that, if someone offered me to do, if I was at that point where someone was like, do you want to be a mountain leader? I'd turn around and say Special Forces, because they get paid better.
they get paid better. I mean, they do get paid a lot more, and the pay increments are higher as well.
Mm-hmm. Hey, it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of mountain leaders go over to Special Forces eventually, and I don't know personally.
I know 1 or 2 guys who've done it and been successful. Like, to be successful anywhere is hard. Like, not a lot of guys do, but I'm not surprised. If you want to get through it and you've got that in your background, I would like to think that SF would love to have someone like a mountain leader.
Oh, yeah. They'd accept him straight away, wouldn't they?
They're just the level of training, man, is insane, mate. But I've got
go on. Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
In terms of like soldiering and stuff like that, what's your thoughts of, even we've been speaking about mountain leaders, there's Marines and former Marines and military guys from the US and Britain who've got this tremendous skill set, and we know they're serving, doing bits and bobs in Ukraine right now. It's all over the news and certain videos. What's your thoughts on Ukraine? I know it's a massive subject in general, but what's your summarize it?
I follow it off screen a lot. And I've got friends, not only friends from the Royal Marines, but friends in the family, not in the family, but friends of the family, who are former Royals who are out there.
Wow.
And the way I see, I couldn't do it because I've got a family, right? That's the thing that I'm more family oriented now. And then, like I said, it's been 10 years since I left. I think that some people enjoy the fight, enjoy the soldiering. And if they want to be out there, all power to them. It's a good cause. Obviously, it's a good cause, right?
Yeah.
Russia are being a bit of a pain in the ass, and that's putting it lightly.
Yeah.
I was very worried the other day when we got the news about Poland and getting that air raid, but I just think it's one of them where, when I left in 2012, I came to the US to do what's called Camp America, where you're basically a summer camp training. I was actually a rifle instructor at a summer camp here in the US, and that's then I ended up meeting Steph on a night out. But
that's pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. But during that time, I was going through emails, I was actually potentially going to be working for this friend I know who does close protection. And funnily enough, this was in Ukraine at the time, and he's still out there now.
Then that's insane.
He's still out there now, so I would have been there. Technically, if I didn't meet Steph, right?
That's insane.
I would have been there probably now. And again, if I didn't have a family, if I was on my own and I had friends out there, I'd be calling them up, be like, "Get me out there." I think. But I've got to look after my close family now. As for a general, do I agree with them being out there? At the end of the day, they've got free reign to do whatever the fuck they want to do.
Yeah.
Right? They're not part of the military anymore. I think it's a really cheeky way of these NATO countries having soldiers, really good soldiers,
very
fighting,
good soldiers,
very good soldiers, fighting out in Ukraine and stuff. And I'm happy that they're doing it. If they want to do it, I'm glad that they're able to do it. At the end of the day, I saw news the other day of some guy from Texas fighting for Russia, and I'm like,
what?
Yeah, and I'm like.
He just wants to be involved in the shitty end of the stick, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. But as for the lads out there right now, both the Ukraine citizens and all the other citizens that are out there doing their own thing, just trying to help, I take my hat off to them. I'm proud of them, and I hope they succeed. I hope they succeed.
It does break my heart that we're even conversating about something like that in this day and age, mate. It's
scary, isn't it? It is scary.
What do you think's next then with Ukraine?
I think.
Do you think it's going to spill out into other countries? Because I've always been of the thought pattern. People talk about nuclear warheads as if it's like something that happens all the time. I personally don't think we'll ever see in our generation a nuclear warhead even being used.
I hope you're right, mate. I hope you're
Honestly.
right. The only time I think that would happen, so Ukraine are doing very well, right? If it gets to a point where Russia have to completely withdraw and they're really embarrassed, Putin's on his last string. There's rumors of him having, things wrong with him. Yeah. If he's on his last breath and he's embarrassed because he's got such an ego, we can all agree on that.
I think so, yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if that's him being like, you know what, fuck everyone, boom. At the same time, I don't think it'll get to that point. I think Russia would do something about him. I genuinely think they would do something about him before it got to that point.
Me and you share the same thoughts. I think even if he gets to the point, which I think he could do, I think there'll be interventions either way, even from his own country first, because no one wants that.
No one wants it. Not even Russians want that. Most Russians don't even want to be in Ukraine right now.
I know. It's mental.
So, and the whole Poland thing really, because the news started to slow down about it, which is a shame because news needs to be up on it all the time. The Poland thing really shook things up and made people realize how delicate this situation is. Because if they confirmed they were Russian and, it was a way of antagonizing, there'd be British soldiers, US soldiers on the ground right now.
I think so. I mean, it would be an escalation, that's for sure. Have we seen anything like... There's mixed reports. Apparently, it was an accidental Ukrainian missile and stuff, which, if
I don't think we'll ever find the truth, but...
Yeah, that's war, man. Hey, Luke, what's next for you? What's happening? Because I know you've explained about YouTube and stuff and your thoughts on life and things like that. You tend to be... I'm gathering you're working things around you now and not around YouTube. So you as a person, as a family, what's next, man?
Yeah, so next year we're getting Stephanie's British visa. We're moving back to England. I have always been very passionate on self-sufficiency, right? So our ultimate goal, if we wanted to do this in the US, we could do it in the next couple of months. But to do this in England, the UK, because we're thinking about Wales, we want to go over there. We want to start a homestead, or as they call them in England, a small holding, where basically you have a tiny farm, big enough to grow the food for yourself and maybe some of your neighbors and stuff like that. And that's what I want to do. I'm a big environmental advocate, right?
Good.
I think the more people who could live sustainably, the better. Whether you believe in any of this stuff or not, I don't really care. But what I think we can all agree on is if you can look after yourself and not have to rely on big corporate chains, food chains, the government, whatever, then you're in a better position than most.
It's a good way of thinking about it, really. It's if it isn't in your thought pattern, it can't be disagreed that being more sustainable is a better thing. Even if it didn't save you any money, it's a better thing to do, right?
Well, I think the pandemic just proved that, right? All of a sudden, you go to the store, there's food shortages. I've got 2 children. Like, what happens if we go to the store and we can't get food? Like, what do we do, right? So the ultimate goal for us in the family is we're moving over next year. We're going to be there this time next year, most likely. And obviously things can change between then. But the idea is we're going to be there this time next year. We're probably going to be staying somewhere renting for a year until we get, buy a car and we get our feet on the ground. And then we're going to start a little homestead in probably Northern Wales or Northern England somewhere. As for the YouTube, I'm going to do it as long as it serves me, as long as it's fun, as long as I'm enjoying it. I'll keep doing it. But, if in 5 years' time, if I have a homestead and I'm making more money on that homestead and YouTube's an inconvenience,
boom.
I'll say goodbye. I'll have one last big off stream. All my friends on, I'll get you right on. We'll drop into Warzone. We'll chat some shit. And then we'll call it a day.
And then back on the next week thinking, actually, no, I'm going to do more videos.
Yeah, actually, that was pretty fun. That I might do that again.
Actually, I think before that happens, if it did happen like that, we at least need to get a video together. I would love to do with you. Well, no puns here, by the way, guys. I know we're bootnecks and stuff. I would like to do a stealth camping video with you.
I'd love to.
Just me and you go to Senny Fridge and pretend to do Final X or something.
You know what I mean? Brilliant. Yeah, that would be great. That would be absolutely fantastic. Just chat some shit, go camping, stealth camp, have some fun, talk some tactics, shoot the shit, and just have a laugh.
That's it. I think we'll probably just leave on that note.
I think we'll leave on that note, mate. Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, Ryan, and I'd love to do this again.
Let's do it again, man. Luke, thanks for stopping by. Troops,
anytime.
Links will be in the description for Luke Jillings' Original Humans channel. And if you like this, please smash the like, share, and subscribe button. And I'll see you in the next one, troops.